what I am saying, I fully subscribe in what you are saying, that these people are developing. Orissa, Bihar, Assam, Tripura, whatever you say, they are developing. But in case of Bengal, this development has not yet happened as it has happened in other states. But my point is the long running of the governments. So it is basically what I'm aiming at is whether these people are government dependent or not. Bengal is government assisted. So whatever manifesto you come up with, the people of Bengal, as they are having a
will have a tendency to trust their government.
Tendency to shift towards the government. Let it remain as it is. We do not know because it is a psychological promise. The first thing I said, manifestos are promises that are psychological as well as material. Bengal is not run by a party for the last 15 years. It is run by an individual. So the individual replaces the party. So whatever you see, it is the individual, that is Mamata Banerjee. And that is a big problem that you don't face in other states.
So we are living in the same mindset as we had during the Naxal movement.
Absolutely. Bengal has not, psychologically, Bengal has not progressed. If you find the intellectual class here, the manifesto that comes out in part of BJP, that's a very sensible manifesto. But what Mamata fights with is a nonsensical type of vision, which cannot be achieved, but will have to be achieved in different ways. She has one mission in life. That is to symbolize herself as a fighter, as a leader. If she loses, she is now feeling, if I lose, I don't know whether she'll lose or win. If even she loses in glorification. I go down fighting. That is what she comes up with. And for that, she ruins the entire state. She is a very psychological element. She is not a political animal. She is not an economical element. And these manifestos are basically political and economical. What a lot of people say, she is a dangerous politician. No, she is not a dangerous politician. She is a dangerous psychological creature.
Hi, welcome to Podcast with Pratim. I have with me senior journalist, industry executive, commentator, Mr. Nirmalya Mukherjee. Nirmalya, as we call it in Bengali to seniors. So he has been senior to me, and when I was a CAB reporter, he was a young reporter, mid-ranking reporter. So he worked in both business media as well as general media of the national brands I'm talking about, and he worked with industry. He has been a commentator over here in Calcutta. We will discuss today about Bengal election. Now, our interest is in a specific area. The interest has been evoked or it has been triggered by BJP's manifesto. It comes with specific proposals on industry, agriculture. It is absolutely development politics. We saw that 20 years ago, particularly in 2006 election. And between 2004 and 2008, West Bengal, as you are aware, then under Mr. Buddhadev Bhattacharya, it was quite prominently placed in the investment destination map. And you also know what happened next. We had a Singur and everything collapsed. So back to Nirmalya, how do you like BJP's manifesto?
You see, Pratim, one thing, manifesto is about two things. One, it is promise material, and at the same time, what is unseen. In manifestos, you don't see anything. You have promises, so it is somewhat psychological too. That is, you build a system of belief or faith or trust that I am going to promise you something, and whether you will accept it or not, that you will have to judge. So it is as well as material and psychological. So if you look at it, BJP's manifesto this time, BJP has divided its manifesto into two parts, actually. The first part came in saying that the Trinamool how they are going to block Trinamool in the elections. That was the 15 promises they made. That was Ponoro Dopa Shopot that they said. And then they came up with a Sankalpa Patra. So there are two parts of it, what they will do, how they
So
will
we will
block Trinamool.
focus more on the Sankalpa Patra.
Yes. But we have to talk about this part also. Because on the Sankalpa Patra, what they have promised, these promises are now being weighed in different ways. In some way, I will say that in some way it has created some sort of impact in some people who were already riding against the Mamata culture, Mamata syndrome that's going on for the last 15 years. But this time, BJP's Sankalpa Patra, they also published a Sankalpa Patra in 2021 with a lot of promises. And that time, there is a difference that BJP was a non-opposition party. Now, BJP is going to elections as an opposition party. So, as an opposition party, at that time, they were becoming an opposition party.
Right.
They
were a challenger, but without that
yes,
status.
they were a challenger. They were not actually on the ground. In the last 5 years, they have come on the ground. So the promises they made in 21 and the promises they are making in 26, there will be a qualitative difference. Now, if you want to take up one by one each of the issues in the manifesto, each issue will be countered by Trinamool with some argument they'll come up with across the country. Like in Delhi, they did not give this Ladli Bahana scheme was closed. They will come up with the whereaboutery. They do not have specific charges to counter these promises or specific ways to counter these promises. Now, the biggest problem that the people, what I feel on the ground level is saying, they have made a lot of promises. Will it be carried out if they come to power? There are a lot of narratives.
I'm stopping you there.
Hmm.
So if we look at BJP's, let's for a moment shift away from politics. If we look at BJP's manifesto, there are a couple of parts, mostly three parts. One is pure political, which is basically one particular
right
way, that is UCC, right? That apart, they are competing and upping the game against Trinamool on the dole politics, right? So giving double the money, offering double the money to women and youth, and also money for competitions and etc. for studies. So loads and loads of cash handout projects. So in the third part, they are giving themselves specific goals. For example, procurement of rice at 3,100 rupees. Now, this is the price farmers are getting in Punjab. In West Bengal, they get half of it. So it is doable because rice from West Bengal goes to Punjab for procurement, actually. So this is doable. And they started the project in Odisha. Again, say mango. So it is again mid-Bengal and very important. And it lacks processing. So they are talking about these projects are all national projects, are all 5-year-old. They're talking about building farm gate logistics and etc. etc. The best and most important part to us is they are giving specific proposal to industry, building 4 hubs. And they already named 2 where the land is acquired. Calcutta Port has loads of land in Haldia, and they are also saying what kind of industries they are going to bring in. So it is very specific goalposts that they have set for ourselves. It is not something in the air that we have been hearing for last 20 years after the exit of Buddha Bhattacharya. So how do you now, given this, how do you look at it? The promises that they are making.
No, I wouldn't say it's something very laudable at this moment of time. Because, Pratim, if you watch that in the eastern region, there are tendencies of government running for a long time. Like the left front for 3 decades. Prior to that, the Congress was there for another 2.5 decades. Mamata is ruling for 15 years. You go to Bihar, you
So
go
that
to
only
Assam.
explains the underdevelopment cycle.
No,
When
that is what
you don't have
I'm saying.
aspirations. West
That
Bengal,
shows that the per capita income, if you see the eastern region, all the states where long-running governments are going on, the per capita income is low in compared to other states. So they have long-running governments, and the people who vote actually,
not
they
necessarily.
are dependent.
Your theory is not completely right. For example, Odisha was way behind us. Now Odisha
Hmm,
is above us, right?
hmm,
Assam was nowhere. Now Assam
yes,
is coming up.
hmm,
So we also see a change in eastern region, excepting in I'm talking about the economic change, outlook
hmm,
change.
hmm.
Excepting Bihar, for example, got forsaken land. But how many knows that in last 5 years or 10 years, firstly 30 sugarcane, this what do you call sugar mills, so reopened. Makhana, Bihar now supplies 90% of world's makhana, right? So economic development is coming in areas even if they are quite backward. So from that perspective, West Bengal is a story of sustained decline and decline. I'm talking relatives, I'm not talking
That is
absolute.
true. That is true. But what I am saying, I fully subscribe in what you are saying, that these people are developing. Orissa, Bihar, Assam, Tripura, whatever you say, they are developing. But in case of Bengal, this development has not yet happened as it has happened in other states. But my point is the long running of the governments. So it is basically what I'm aiming at is whether these people are government dependent or not. So in Bihar or in Odisha, these people, as the government has developed, the per capita income has gone up. The assistance of the government has also reduced. But in Bengal, it has not developed to the extent it has gone there. So long-running governments, what should I say? There is a gap in what you're thinking and
There is a
the
vicious
way I am
cycle.
thinking.
There is a vicious
Yes,
cycle that you are
it's a
pointing
vicious
at.
cycle. The way you are seeing it, I am seeing it from the other end. Bengal is government assisted. So whatever manifesto you come up with, the people of Bengal, as they are having a
Will have a
per capita,
tendency to trust their
yes,
government.
tendency to shift towards the government. Let it remain as it is. We do not know because it is a psychological promise. The first thing I said, manifestos are promises that are psychological as well as material. Now, this psychological promise will have to be transformed into material promises. For that, whether the people, you have to build a trust. You can make 1001 promises. It doesn't matter. You can call the industry as a whole will not vote for you unless you build that trust. In Bengal, what I have found is that there is an overall trust deficit that is going on since the left front period. This
Okay.
trust deficit, how much it will be carried or it will absolutely removed, it all depends. It's a very, very psychological phenomenon. Manifestos are basically fight of the minds. If that
Right.
had not happened,
So when you have to beat the psychology, I fully agreed. So my friends in social sciences, so they tell me they identify West Bengal as a peculiar case, which completely lacks aspiration. Now, to give you
yes,
one example, your poverty doesn't explain. Poverty or long government doesn't explain this. For example, we know that Odisha in last 20 odd years, they have come up in a big way in producing bureaucrats, in producing, all the think tank people you see in Delhi. A good many of them are Odias, right? Researchers. So they are going into the right places. They are getting
correct.
all the India, except West Bengal, rest of India are extremely what I should say is very well in touch with national politics. But West Bengal is trying to isolate itself, completely isolate itself. Look at Bihar. Now, Bihar, we know it's in terms of economy, it's behind us still, despite all our decline. But still, in last few years, you see the social phenomenon where they are producing so many IAS, IIT grads, and etc. etc. Everywhere now there are Biharis. You also have as big and as important a Bihari in industry as the Vedanta group, right, Mr. Anil Agarwal. But in Bengal, the whole thing looks like stale. Why?
The basic reason is that Bengal is not run by a party for the last 15 years. It is run by an individual. So the individual replaces the party. So whatever you see, it is the individual, that is Mamata Banerjee. And that is a big problem that you don't face in other states. In Bihar, there was nothing of that sort. In Odisha, there was nothing of that sort. So even during the left front regime.
But Odisha was what? Navin Patnaik.
Navin Patnaik was definitely a face, but not the face like Mamata, if you have a qualitative difference. The way Mamata has projected herself. But Navin Patnaik was definitely a face and everybody wanted him. So he remained there for 5 terms. Now, my point is not that. It is the party. It is Biju Janata Dal, whatever, they were looking at it. Here, it is everything is seen from a single 2 eyes. Pratim, you will have to realize one thing, that eyes cannot be 2. Eyes have to be multiple in a pluralistic society. There are a lot of demands. There are a lot of pressure groups. There are a lot of interest groups. You will have to cater. You cannot with 2 eyes look at all the 1,000 faces that are looking at you. You have to get 100 faces to look at that, but she is not ready to accept that. And that is the only reason she says the way
Who
she
is to be blamed, she or we? She gets 45 to 50% vote.
We are to be blamed. That is because the burden of exploitation, the burden of, what should I say, the burden of not getting things done, the burden of different types of, what should I say, in the villages. People were totally frustrated in the last stages with the left front government. So they got rid, and she became a face against exploitation. She became a symbol of fight. That is why she doesn't feel that Bengal is part of India. She feels that Bengal is only part of Bengal. And there is only one state, that is Bengal, which will rise to the occasion wherever there is exploitation, fighting, and everything.
So we are
she
living.
Has symbolized herself in that way.
So we are living in the same mindset as we had during the Naxal movement.
Absolutely. Bengal has not, psychologically, Bengal has not progressed. If you find the intellectual class here, now they are protecting their Bengali identity. All these, they were protecting their class identity. Now it's all shifted. So the class identity has now diluted into a very parochial regional identity. Later on, I do not know, God save, where it will go. But this particular class, and Mamata Banerjee is one person who is not driven by any bureaucrat, not driven by any, what should I say?
Yes, here comes a very interesting difference.
She is mostly on an advisory role. You see, she gets lots of advisors. 5 chief secretaries, they're all 5 advisors. She doesn't believe in the government. She believes on herself. She doesn't believe in the party. What does she believe in? So if you face this kind of a situation, any organized party, it has got 2 ends. When you set up, you are coming to the manifesto that comes out in part of BJP, that's a very sensible manifesto. But what Mamata fights with is a nonsensical type of vision, which cannot be achieved, but will have to be achieved in different ways. She has one mission in life. That is to symbolize herself as a fighter, as a leader. And in that case, she is ready to sacrifice anything.
So we are like,
no manifesto can influence her. Nobody can influence her. If she loses, she is now feeling, if I lose, I don't know whether she'll lose or win. If even she loses, she loses in glorification. I go down fighting. That is what she comes up with. And for that, she ruins the entire state. She is a very psychological element. She is not a political animal. She is not an economical element. And these manifestos are basically political and economical. What a lot of people say, she is a dangerous politician. No, she is not a dangerous politician. She is a dangerous psychological creature. And she just moves on her whims. She cannot decide on anything. Today she will say something. Every time she is being lambasted by the Supreme Court, again she is going back to it because she has a point to prove. She all her moves. I've been watching her since
You are right.
her
You
old
are
days.
right. You're right. I mean, if
So
we
a
look at it this way,
psychological entity, you cannot weigh a psychological
see,
entity with some manifestos. You will have to, the BJP people will have to build the confidence within the people that yes, we can replace her. That is all. No manifesto, nothing will work. Nothing. Because the narrative, this you see, the BJP is saying, will give you 3,000 rupees. BJP is saying, I'll give you 50,000 rupees undergraduate unmarried women. All these promises. But to the people, what is she saying? It is more important for me. BJP being a pan-India opposition party here, BJP is less important to me in front of her psychological whims. She wins on psychological issues. Bangla mein ke chai. This is not material. This is not economical. This is purely psychological. And that is what she is going. This time also, she is saying something different. She is absolutely playing to the minds of the people. You have been deleted. You have been rejected. Bengal is being deleted, rejected. What are these? These are not economical issues. So what is the point? BJP people will have to go. What I feel sincerely, will have their 80,000 booths. I don't know. I heard from my sources that they have been able to put up about 62, 67,000 BLA2s in all these booths. So that is quite a commendable number. If that is the case, then BJP is doing something organizationally. But organization does not mean that I will give you this, I will give you that. That trust has to be built. She has broken that, she has won the trust of the people when she removed left front government. And she has continued. You see, she lost. Even after losing to Shubhendu Adhikari, she came back as a deputy chief. I call her a deputy chief minister. So, because she came through a by-election. So in that way, she is always, but still, she's praised. Everybody calls her Didi. This Didi symbolization covers all manifestos, everything. Unless we can do, or you can do that, it's very difficult to remove her in that way. Because she is fighting the game, again, I'm telling you, this time also, she is not fighting on money or anything else. She is fighting on trust building and psychology. If you can hit at that particular point, then you had it. Otherwise, you can't.
right, you have you've made a lot of points, and mostly I should say that I should agree with majority of it. Firstly, you see why left front fell to her, because she has been alone, and there was left front was struck by its organization, but here
Absolutely.
she is the organization.
That is what I'm saying.
Second problem, her style of governance. Now, across the India, bureaucracy-driven governments has become a norm, right? But Navin Patnaik's success lied on the bureaucracy.
Yes.
But not to her. I mean, quite a couple of my senior bureaucrat friends said, including chief secretary levels, that she doesn't listen to anyone. This is a you are wrong to think that she listens to us. No, bureaucrats don't run this. We do whatever she expects us to do. That's it. So there is a qualitative difference. It looks same, but it's not same. And then we are living in 50 years of solitude, if I may borrow from Gabriel Garcia Marquez.
Absolutely. Bengalis, after she came to power, Bengalis, what I feel, they are being driven backwards because of this emotional, psychological issues. She has a sisterly, motherly image. She runs the whole state like a family. The way she talks.
No, what family? Families do not last if you do not have money.
Yes, but she doesn't understand that. And that has to be understood by whom? By the BJP. That she runs it like a family. If you want a break in the family, you have to break the family. If BJP is able to do that, then BJP has made it. It is no manifesto or promises. It's the family. It's a herd mentality. You know, what the word herd mentality means. It's basically a herd mentality. She wouldn't go out of her own herd. Whatever she thinks, psychologically she does. So it is easy to deal with her. It is very difficult to deal with her. You cannot fight with a psychological element on economic or political issues. She goes into some other depths. That you'll have to realize. The opposition will have to realize that.
She is so let's end this discussion over here. What Nirmalya told is makes a lot of sense actually. Is that she is out of the box.
Yes,
It's completely, it's
absolutely.
not, it's, you must not try all these explanations that media gives. This is actually a bunkum. It is not
She
that.
doesn't care. She doesn't care about it. She's not
Yeah,
into.
yeah. It's
She's
the actual ability, her sustained rule lies on two pillars. One, a class of voters, unfortunately Bengalis, who are lost in their own world. God knows, some, in living in some mental vacuum. And uh, and second is, she understands the Bengalis out and well. So she is doing that exactly to remain in power, and it is difficult to displace her by through the known ways and methods. That is
the
what
known
I
way.
believe.
You have to find an unknown way to reach her. That is my impression of the whole thing.
Right.
Because I'll tell you, wherever
No, obviously, you see, even
I
BJP
have been
understands
to
that.
different places across the country, nobody asks what is happening in Bengal. Everybody asks, what is Didi doing?